As many of you know, big conferences like this would not be possible without the generosity and commitment of our long-standing partners. Partners we work closely with not just today, but throughout the year. So we are delighted that NatWest has been a partner for this event over the last 6 years and a committed member of multiple chambers in our network for many years. This last year alone, we have joined forces on our Green Innovation Report through NatWest participation with the Business Council, a report that has received much support and acclaim. So today, it is my privilege to now spend a little bit of time in conversation with Robert Begbie. Robert was appointed CEO of NatWest Commercial and Institutional in March 2024, while he remains CEO of NatWest Markets, a position he's held since 2019. It will be particularly interesting to hear from Robert, given the commercial and institutional franchise supports NatWest customers ranging from entrepreneurs and startups all the way through to multinationals and financial institutions. So, please join me in welcoming Robert Begbie to the stage. I can sit down, it's quite comfortable. Good morning, how are you?
I'm good.
Excellent.
Thank you for having me on stage.
Well, I'm delighted to have you here. So, I'm going to start with, a small and easy question, as you tend to do. Tell our audience here today, Robert, your views on the current performance of the UK economy and our outlook for the future.
So, I think we felt towards the back end of last year, we were starting to hear more positive signs. And that was predominantly around people thinking about investing in businesses, and whether that was in the mid-market or right the way up to large corporates and institutional type clients. So it felt like there was a little bit of confidence out there to deploy capital throughout this year. That translated into real positivity, I think, in the first quarter of this year. We've seen quite a lot of capital deployed, and we've seen much more interest in investing both in UK companies, but also in companies themselves. I would say where we are now is that optimism is still there. Mm-hmm. I think it's depending on which sector and which part of the country you're in. It's not broad-based. We've referred to it as green shoots rather than tall trees, but it's definitely there. When I travel up and down the country, there is definitely more of a positive attitude. We see it in the fact that the economy is growing. We see it in the fact that inflation has come back down. Mm-hmm. We see it in the fact that whilst interest rates haven't moved yet, the market's expectation is they will move down. So a little bit more certainty, a little bit more positivity. Early days, but we're pretty optimistic that will continue.
That's good. Good to hear. You've been doing an interesting project, haven't you, with NatWest called Future Fit, which is helping businesses understand how to sort of think about future opportunities. Tell us a bit more about that and what you've been hearing.
Yeah, so this is the third year. We just announced the results this week. When we first started it 3 years ago, we were trying to identify key themes and trends that identified companies that were preparing for the future, and then the outcomes that they've seen from that in terms of growth. So what were things that companies might want to think about? Last year, we kind of broadened it from themes into, we surveyed about 500 different businesses. This year, it's 1,000. So we're building a body of evidence, which is based on surveys that we then publish. And for those that want to see more of it, it's on the NatWest website. But we focused it around 4 key areas: technology, sustainability, supply chain, and skills. So we've been able to kind of map through and look at how future ready those businesses were across those 4 dimensions. Now, part of the analysis shows that there's many businesses that have not got those plans in place, or not to the extent that they might be considered to be future fit and ready. That's hardly surprising. What you described at the start what businesses have had to go through in the last 3-4 years.
Right, yeah.
Trying to create that 5-10-year plan has been pretty difficult. However, given the backdrop now, we feel it's important that the companies start to think about the future and how they get ready for that. And then the other part of it, which is interesting, is that those who have had plans in place have tended to grow by 10% plus in the years that follow that.
Wow, that's a lot.
So, it's what we're trying to do is to provide statistic-based evidence for companies to look at, but also how can we help companies in terms of them thinking about how they're going to prepare for the future.
Can we just talk a bit about that sort of digital part of those 4 things? So, we know from talking to our members, I mean, things are changing so fast. We just can't keep up. I mean, how are NatWest thinking about helping your businesses on that front?
Yeah, and again, it's quite easy to get, I guess, caught up with, we all need to be doing lots of Gen AI, and if we're not doing it, then we're behind everybody else. There's far more fundamental and basic things in most cases that both we as a bank need to think about and helping our customers. So I look at our digital experience in 2 ways. One is the access to products and services that we can give our customers digitally to make, one, it easier for them to access the products, but 2, at the time and point of their choosing, right? So we make it easier. And as you said, we cover everything from 1 million small business bank customers right the way through to large corporate and institutional customers. If you think about the breadth of what access to technology and services that those customers have, small businesses in many cases don't have experts working on various parts of it, right? So we need to provide a digital experience for those customers that enables them to access the products and services and payments and so on and so forth. And you just, I think, need to look at the way that the retail market has evolved over the past 5 years in terms of that digitalization. We all, the bank's on the app now, right? I mean, for most of us, we do our banking on the app. For small businesses, we need to create that optionality around digital experience for them so that they can manage their business in a way that means that they can access what they need, but it's at the time of their choosing and so on. Yeah. So creating those digital experiences, but also internally, we need to create more efficiencies and better customer journeys for our colleagues, who then free up more time to spend with customers. So, if we think about our relationship manager network up and down the UK, we need to make sure that they are spending as much time as they possibly can on the ground, out with customers, being that strategic partner and advisor, not in the office dealing with, administration or so on and so forth. And that's where things like, generative AI can come in, because you can basically take a lot of the writing up of notes or preparation or whatever, and just take that away and say, right, you got more time now to spend with your customers. So there's 2 parts of it. One is, how do we make the customer experience more digital? And that'll be different for a business banking customer than it will be for a large corporate. But also internally, through working on things like customer journeys, how we do that. I used we were on a panel a few months ago, and I talked about the small business lending proposition we had launched, where if you're an existing customer, your information's up to date, you can go on the website at 1 o'clock in the morning if you want and get a loan up to 50,000 and find out there or then whether you're getting it. We're going to extend that out, because that's just a good example, very small, but a good example of where we can create access to banking services and products at a time that meets the customer's needs.
Yes. The point there is a lot of small business owners working 24 hours a day.
Exactly.
But we also, I think we as leaders also need to spend time, don't we, experimenting and looking at generative AI. And who has ChatGPT, the app, on their phone? Who uses it every day? Oh, okay. So that's a good number, because we need to understand it too, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you. So we obviously have members in the room today from all over the world. But just to taking a moment on the UK specifically and thinking about the regions and nations, which we obviously represent all of those. How do you manage that regional engagement and how do you sort of join it up at a national level?
Yeah, so I talked about, it starts with our relationship manager regional network. We have the biggest regional manager network of any bank in the UK. We've got over 1,100 relationship managers. And they are both regionally based, but within region, a lot of them will be sector specific. So they'll be very focused.
Okay.
So,
sector and region.
I was at the Royal Highland Show last week in Scotland, biggest agricultural show in Scotland. We've sponsored it since 1987. The team we've got on the ground there can talk farming with farmers, in that way because they understand their business, and that's the start point for us. Is how can we can't give the best possible service to customers if we don't understand the business. So relationship manager network, very, very important to us and very important to our customers, and the feedback is really positive on that. Alongside that, various other initiatives. We've got 13 accelerator hubs up and down the UK where we put through entrepreneurs every year. Last year we done 1,300 new entrepreneurs through that. This year it's up to 2,500. So,
wow, that's great.
So, and I visit a number of them, and you talk about the excitement that comes with new business. You go and spend half a day with these entrepreneurs, and you come out buzzing, right?
Yeah,
because the ideas they have, the passion, the hard work that they put in. But one of the biggest benefits for them of creating that accelerator hub, which is a place they can come to, we provide access to expertise, from financial planning through to how you pitch for private equity money or whatever, is them talking to each other. Because they all face similar challenges, and I've seen examples of where, because they're spending time together, and they've had the advice of others and the experience of others. One maybe started going there and they've pivoted to go there.
Yeah.
And we track those customers, those entrepreneurs as they come through that. And they universally say it's an enormous help to them as they start out. So they're not sitting in their kitchen agonising over what they're going to do, with their cash flow over the next few weeks. So that's a big part of it. We then have, an enterprise initiative around those customers that are coming through that and how we help them with some of the bigger challenges around, thinking about IT, technology, forward planning and so on. So it's really about creating the access to people who can provide customers with what they need at various points in that journey, from, accelerator entrepreneurs, hopefully then through to the high growth, and then as we bring them through, into our mid-market, and then, some of them will go on to be really large companies. So that's kind of the heart of it, really. And the way we kind of coordinate it regionally, and then back into, if you like, head offices, we're very much, put the businesses in those categories around. We have a chief executive for our business banking customers, one for our mid-market, one for our large corporates. And so they work across those teams, but also work with each other, because, what you'll find is that a mid-market customer, the answer to the question or the answer to what they need, we may already do in the large corporate end. So how we move those customers, share the learning, give them access to products is a great example, and also how we take things like, how we help customers when they want to do risk management, or they start to think about how they're going to export and they're going to need access to trade finance or foreign exchange or whatever it might be, and those are products we already have at the larger end of our business that we can take to the mid-market customers and try and help them, think about all the things that need to happen for them to grow their business.
Brilliant. Thank you, Robert. That was fascinating. The Chamber Network, of course, absolutely agree with you on the power of the collective and learning from each other. And our global network here, absolutely the partners you need for businesses to drive trade. So thank you very much for your time this morning. Thank you.